بنت في السعودية. I grew up في الرياض. My senior year was حرب الخليج. So I went to the United States before the war started, and while I was there, I graduated from a high school, a boarding school in Massachusetts, and then I went on to college. طبعا those years احنا السعوديين we have this idea إنه you have to think of a career يا مثلا طب هندسة those things, and I didn't match any of that. I wanted to be a jewelry designer, and I wanted to study gems or gold or that kind of. But because the school I wanted to go to was in California, I ended up not doing what I wanted to do and studying business, and then I changed to psychology, and then I changed to finding myself. In the end, I ended up specializing in health fitness management with a master's degree in health fitness management. طبعا رجعت السعودية وقعدت أعمل research, and I found that عندنا الدايابيتيز مرة عالي. So قلت خلاص حفتح مركز الدايابيتيز مانجمنت في السعودية. الأحداث حصلت إنه personal situations happened, and our family lost 5 members to breast cancer. Some of them were relatives, some of them were friends, and I started to be aware of breast cancer awareness. And my mother started to work in breast cancer societies, and we started to be advocates for breast cancer awareness for Saudi women. At that time, it was the early 90s. ما كان عندنا أي references. طبعا ما في online internet ولا حاجة. Didn't have libraries. But we started to create women's health awareness. And the core of it was breastfeeding. لأنه إحنا مجتمع عربي والسرطان كان موضوع إنه we can't talk about it. It was untouchable. My mother and I worked together, and we found that if we go through breastfeeding, it's a positive attitude. It's easier to talk to women about that. You can inject a breast cancer awareness through breastfeeding. So I became a breastfeeding advocate and opened a center called البداية for women's awareness and breastfeeding. From that work, I found that women, Middle Eastern women specifically, are very resilient. Okay, so I wanted a symbol for myself, because طبعا you have your ups and downs, a natural development of people. You have good days, you have bad days. And on my bad days, I always wanted to find a symbol, حاجة that I can wake up in the morning and think, I'm this. So I did some research, and I found that the most resilient being is the bee, النحل. And bees live in communities that are all female, and they all work together to protect the queen bee and to make honey and their whole system. So I read a lot about the beehive and queen bees. If you do research on bees, you'll find that throughout history, bees are a symbol for royalty. They're like a holy symbol in the ancient civilizations. I think it's important for us to learn from other creatures. And bees are like the ideal business model, they're the ideal society, they're the ideal community. For there's a lot of things that we can learn from them. And we're all on this earth together. So this is where we're all on this earth together. We all have to learn from each other. And I think that if we learn those things, we can help the bee community. they're threatened by what we're doing, insecticides وحاجات كتير. أدخل في a lot of different humane projects and different activities. But it's not just being a businesswoman and having a bottom line of I don't know what million. No, that's not necessarily success من ناحية financial success. It's also social success, humanitarian success, and what you've done as a human being. So I tried to combine all of the things that I learned, and I found that my symbol would be the queen bee, and my message is that women are resilient, and we need to work together in order to survive. بصراحة I have to support my friends, my sisters have to support me, I have to support them. As a community, women are more successful and happier when they work together instead of against each other. For the strongest women are those who lift other women. And they are the leaders who make the changes in the community, and we get together. And that strong woman is the one that's resilient. And she can encourage others to be resilient as well. Humans are so anxious and eager to finish everything that we're not enjoying the journey or the trip through it. Yani recently I've gone through a very difficult time, and I reached out to people to support me. And I've sat with coaches, life coaches and things, and it was a really dark time for me. But now when I look back, I think, I'm glad that happened, because I found myself. I learned more about me, and you're stronger when you know yourself, and you're more resilient and durable when you really know yourself, and you can help others and you can help yourself. And I think it's important that we go back to that kind of consciousness. I don't know if you can tell, but my favorite word right now is resilience. I say it all the time. I'm resilient, I can get through this, even if something kills you, that's fine. You got through it, and you passed. I don't see, I think it's important to recognize that somehow you get through things, and you can make it. And the best feeling you get is when you help others get through their things, because that helps you get through yours. So it's a certain kind of mindset. The first thing I do when something doesn't work out, I live the moment. I get really upset, and I let myself sit there for a while. I take it in, all the disappointment, all the pain, it doesn't matter. I allow myself that time. I don't like to impact my feelings. If I need to cry, I'll cry. If I need to call somebody, I call somebody, and I work through the pain. And once I admit that I'm hurt, or I admit that I'm disappointed, it goes away. And then I can look at the next step. And I advise people to do that. Feel the pain, ما فيها شيء. It's okay. It'll pass. For girls and women, I think it's most important to identify your own weaknesses and your strengths. Unfortunately, people have a concept, and if you identify weaknesses, then you're admitting them. Not realizing that identifying them and admitting them is part of the solution to get rid of them, to turn them into strengths. Nobody's perfect. We all have our weaknesses and our strengths. But if we can look inside ourselves and find where we are weak and improve it, and where we are strong and share it, we're balanced. And I think it's very important to have that internal balance, because when you're balanced and centered, then everything flows. And even if things don't work out, which some of them don't, you're okay with it. And that's good, because things are not going to work out. They're not always going to work out. And there's good in that, because sometimes if something doesn't work out, it wasn't the right thing to do, despite what you thought. Women in this region, I believe, are very smart. We've adapted well. We've found ways to make things happen. Despite the difficulties, we take advantage of the good things that we have. And I think that has allowed them to excel, and that it will continue. There are rules and regulations and things, but I think those are self-imposed. And once we can get past those, or accept them, or weave them into what we're trying to make, we can do anything. I don't think we want to be Western women. I don't think we want to be Native American women. We want to be Saudi women, and we are what we are with what we have. So despite our weaknesses and our constraints, it's like a fabric. We're weaving them into what we're making. So we will end up having an amazing product. It might not be the same as other nations, but I think it's very good for what we will make for ourselves, because it's unique to us. Nobody's like us. I think we're a unique people. A lot of Westerners I know feel into Saudiya, you're discriminated against or you're mistreated. And I think it depends on what your criteria is that you're judging. I think Middle Eastern women are stronger than people think they are, and more in control than people think they are, and more capable. You don't have to have a doctorate degree to accomplish something. What's the standard? You can have a Bedouin woman who has 9 kids and they're all healthy, well and fed, and on her standards, she's amazing. So we have to be able to tailor the criteria depending on what we're judging, and not just have this mold for all of us, with all the same. Definitely. نحن قادرات.